What row am I on? At this point, I'm kind of asking, am I vlogmasing? Kind of. I decided that after doing the whole Wednesday thing, that took up the better part of, I think, 2 months to put together between everything that was going on around here, that what I'd kind of like to do is concentrate on doing a few more smaller, cozier things that will allow me to get a few things done around here. So there are a couple of big overarching projects that I'd kind of like to get done, but I'd also like to take a little bit of time to work on a few things around the house. So I've got a few works in progress. Maybe what we'll do is we'll dive into some of those over the next few days. It's always once you turn the camera on that all of a sudden your nose itches, or you start coughing, or whatever. One of the things that I started over the past couple of days, after I'd finished editing and uploading Wednesday and seeing how it went, and on the one hand I was kind of hoping that it would be a little bit bigger, but on the other hand, I get that not everybody's into tatting, and that seems to be one of the issues that my channel has. I've got all of these different interests in crafting, so it's not necessarily a knitting channel, though that's what I had originally kind of hoped to do, was a knitting channel. It's not a crochet channel, because while I do crochet, it's not really a passion of mine. It's not really a sewing channel, though a lot of people seem to really like the sewing adventures that I do. Mostly because there are quite a few people who, like me, are not the standard size, which really isn't standard size at all anymore these days. Again, that's another topic for another thing. There have been times when I've considered putting together a second channel for things like, maybe I should have a separate channel for knitting, and a separate channel for sewing, and a separate channel for crochet, and a separate channel for opinions and things like that. And it just gets ridiculous with the way that the YouTube algorithm wants to feed things out. So, you do something crochet that doesn't appeal to knitters or to tatters or to sewers. Of course, those people are going to just sort of go, okay, whatever, we'll check back in with her in another 2 weeks when she wheels back around to knitting or what have you. And then you don't wheel back around to knitting for like another 6 months or so. It happens. I've got a shawl that I started, I think, last year that I meant to get done for last Christmas that wound up getting frogged back and has been sitting there waiting for me to pick it back up. And I think I was going to take it with me when Dad was in the hospital, and I just did not have a mind or memory for lace at the time, so it just sort of languished, and it's been sitting in its project bag since then. And if people want to know what you need to have so many project bags for, that's exactly it, because sometimes you need to put a project in timeout in a safe place where you know it's going to be protected. I've got a few projects that need to be revisited, because I think there was at least one project that I took with me that as soon as I didn't have to go to the hospital anymore, I kind of dropped it, and I'd been meaning to use it as one of the sort of mystery craft projects that I briefly delved into last year. I do like mystery craft projects. I really do. It's just getting the time for them among everything else, because as I said, people seem to really respond to the sewing videos, and the temptation is there to just keep sewing. And unfortunately, I don't need a wardrobe that big. And with the way that my size is changing, I'm going to wind up having to do alterations sooner rather than later. So it's just going to be the same things over and over and over again. So I apologize in advance. But the fact remains that I keep seeing people making secondary channels for all of the other things that aren't in their main niche, and I'm like, but my main niche is everything. So today I'm crocheting a thing, capital A, capital T, a thing. It's the nest pattern. It's basically for one of the cats. This so far is going to be about 4.5 to 5 balls of Wool Ease Thick and Quick in colorway 537B Eden. See if we can maybe get a good thumbnail shot. We skibbled into Michael's yesterday really quickly. It occurs to me that our poor little cream-colored cat, she has her little cage, like her little crate, with her litter box and her foods and a little bed and a blanket. But I was wondering if I could make a little sort of hidey hole nest for her that would be nice and warm. So we'll see if I can fit this in there as well. Possibly not. It may wind up being for our other kitty cat, who is hiding over there someplace. Gray Kitty has decided that she really likes the sink in the bathroom. So every time you go into the bathroom now, she has to accompany you and jump up into the sink. So hopefully if somebody washes their hands, she lets it dry out first before she crawls into it, because that could be a rude awakening for a small cat. Either way, I've got this stuff. I picked up about 5 balls of the Woolies. And I've got about 4 balls of Bernat blanket that I had picked up probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's in a basket over there. I spent some time today and did a few chores. So first thing was to get this area nice and clean, because with everything that had been going on around here, there was just a whole drift of stuff over here. So that was the first thing. The other thing I did was I put up the advent calendar. My mother made an advent calendar, years and years and years ago when my brother and I were both young. And my brother asked me recently if I still had Mom's ceramic Christmas tree. It's one of those Christmas trees from the 70s and 80s that have really become in vogue again over the past few years, with everybody being nostalgic. So I had to let him know that yes, it is still here. Apparently Mom had offered it to him and his wife, so at some point it will be heading up to their home. But at the same time, I had asked him if he wanted the advent calendar, and he didn't seem to remember it. So I've got it up on the wall, and every day we'll put something up on the tree. And if my brother decides that he wants to have the advent calendar, it will head up north with him. And in the meantime, I will have a nice detailed look at the tree and the ornaments and how everything is made, and that way when it comes time to pack it up, I can make one of my own. It is nice to have some of those things around. If I decide that I want to have an advent calendar, I can then hopefully recreate Mom's. For all I know, there's a pattern downstairs somewhere that I haven't come across yet. It's only going on 4 o'clock. I don't know where the afternoon went to. We haven't done a whole lot of Christmas decorating. Usually the husbeast and I leave it to almost the last minute. We've been getting a little bit better about that living in this house, because my mother was really into Christmas, and it's kind of something that we've tried to honor. It's just that it seems like it's a little early. Like the stores like Michael's have a tendency to put out the Christmas stuff before the Halloween stuff even gets used. Like I remember, I think I walked into Michael's somewhere around I don't even think it was mid-October. I think it was the beginning of October. So when they probably should have been putting a huge push on their Halloween merchandise, they had been hawking the Halloween merchandise since about June or July. Like, it was a total summer of Halloween. So by the time October came by, they were starting to move all their Halloween stuff into the sort of hit you in the face when you first walk in. And then in the special occasions area over to the side, they started creeping in the Christmas stuff. So over here, you've got what remains of Halloween doing its sort of limp little yay. And then over here, you've got all of the jingles of Christmas going on. And it's like, no, it's too soon. And I think Mom used to put up her Christmas decorations probably around American Thanksgiving, that she would start putting things up. When we lived in Ontario, where we'd go to a tree farm to get a real tree, Dad would wait until like the week before Christmas, because the less time spent with a tree drying out, the better. Here, because it's harder to get good trees, like good organic trees, we've been going with the fake tree. And so the husband and I have a fake tree that we've been using for well over 20 years that I think finally got retired. Dad had been trying to give us his tree for years, and so we've got Mom and Dad's old tree, and we just bring it up. We brought it up last year, I think around the middle of December. So it'll probably be going up fairly soon. The thing with decorating for Christmas is having to rearrange all the furniture, and I'm sure everybody else goes through this too, of having to move furniture around in order to get things like a Christmas tree in that normally does not take up space the other 11 months of the year. This year is particularly challenging considering we have a small furry critter in a crate in the middle of our living room. That makes things a bit challenging. But I'm going to get back to working on this. We'll see if we can finish it up today, and if I find something else to get up to tomorrow. Either way, a small cat is going to wind up with something to curl up in. Whether it's the cream cat or the gray cat remains to be seen. The colors are nice. I don't know whether they're getting picked up properly by the lighting, because the sun is now going down. My lighting has entirely changed from when I set everything up. Awesome. Well, got the kitty nest done and tried to set it up in the crate. Our little cream cat is most definitely saying, "Nice try, Mom," but cone. We brought it out and her sister curled up in it for a little bit, so all's not lost. So I guess it's time to take the Wednesday collar off the dress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my little pin box. So I used a bunch of these really fine metal pins. I think Mom gave them to me years ago. Almost considering putting a couple of magnets in the bottom of the box, just to make sure that they don't go anywhere. And now we get to take apart the little lattice of pins that are on the back of this collar, just so I can put my collar away nice and tidy, probably into a little Ziploc bag. And I'm pretty sure somebody will say that it should be put away into something like a handmade acid-free paper bag, but right now Ziplocs work just fine. Main thing is that I get all of the pins out, because the last thing I need to do is stick myself with a pin when I'm wearing the dress just to wear the dress. So I think that's all the pins. Oh, no, missed one. There's a pin right there. Perfect. There we go. One pretty lace color. For those who want to get a nice close look at the way that the band was made. There we go. Now the discerning eye will probably notice that it's only actually attached on each of the little quatrefoils, as we might say in Canada, 4 leaves, and these middle ones are just kind of hanging out. So as I mentioned in the actual video, if I was to make this again, I might try to find a way to attach that together so that they're not, prone to flopping out. Or I might just actually use the original band across the top, who knows, but it's done. And I can put the dress away. The husbeast helped me with this. It's a button. It's a button. It came like this, the little sort of central area. So here's the back side. Originally there was, I don't know whether we can see it here. Originally there was a little stand where you would sew your button in. That was the little, what do they call that? The hasp? Wherever the little loop is that you sew your button in. And what the husbeast helped me do was actually get the brooch clasp on here. He has some adhesives, some glues out in the garage that he uses for putting together his Warhammer figurines. And all I could find inside the house was Elmer's glue. So rather than use plain old Elmer's glue, the husbeast used some of the glue that he uses for putting together his Warhammer critters. And now I've got a nice little pearlescent brooch made out of a cheap plastic button. I think it looks fine. I think if I was to zhuzh it up a little bit, I might use like a dark wash on the outside. Try to give it that aged look. But that's done, and now I can put the dress away. Or at least put it into the closet so that it can go into rotation. You never know, you might see me wearing it this week or next week. Who knows? I picked up a blanket in progress, and the ball of yarn disintegrated on me. I might be here for a while. I'd like to thank my channel and Patreon members for their support. The past couple of months have been pretty woolly, and a few of you have been checking in on me to make sure I'm doing okay. I really do appreciate it. If the Craft Coven isn't something you're interested in joining, that's perfectly a-okay. I'm just happy to have you here. Hopefully you'll be so kind as to boop ye old like button and subscribe if you're not already. What are you up to on the run-up to Yule? Got any big plans? Any big projects taking up your mental runtime? I'd love to read about it in the comments. Catch you in the next one.